going on, everybody? So I'm back again, and I got the third light on this tank since I started it, which is kind of crazy. So I got the Aqua Illumination Hydra 26. Sorry guys, if you haven't noticed, I am very bad at names. Just wanted to point that out. It's very hard for me to pull names out, even though I have them in my head. I'm the worst with names, people's names, coral names, equipment names. But bear with me, and usually most of the time you know what I'm talking about. So I'm loving this light. You know, I was looking at a Radeon XR15, and just in total this was a lot cheaper, probably by about $200 if I was to get the Radeon with the ARM and the full, you know, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi controller and all that good stuff. When this includes it all, for about $400 you get this with the ARM and the light, and it includes the app and built-in Wi-Fi, which is kind of tricky to work, but it works okay, and it works pretty good for me. Once you figure it out, you have to be a little bit tech savvy to get it, but and I use it with an Android phone, a Google Pixel, which is also what I film with. And if you haven't noticed, the audio should be a little bit clearer since I got a microphone. So yeah, going back to the light. I used to have a AI Prime non-HD on that last tank I had with the sump system. And this is pretty much two AI Primes built into one system plus the HD. And it's more than enough light to where, you know, with the Prime, I could not just grow coral on a blue spectrum. There wasn't enough power on that 28-gallon cube that I had. With this light, there's more than enough power, sorry about the focus, that I can basically grow the coral on a 0% cool white spectrum, just all blue. And also just tuning it with the app and the separate channels, I'm getting pretty much as close as possible, maybe about 95% to the color spectrum of the Kessel, which I gotta say, the Kessel, and tuning this and the difficulty trying to get it to that spectrum, the Kessel is a great light on as far as that goes. As far as giving you a good color pop, they have that thing spot on. And also the tank is doing a lot better on top of that. But there is the light. I'll go into the tank here in a minute, but the light here itself, the ARM, I love the ARM. It just makes the tank look, it's the best looking tank and ARM mount that I've seen yet. Just the clean look. I like the straight edges of it and everything, and just the way it towers over the tank. I really don't like, and it's my personal preference, I don't like the Radeon ARMs. I just think they just look too big, bulky, and rounded. This one just fits perfectly, gives it that nice modern look to it. And if you hear some squeaky noises in my new mic, that's my chair. Yep, I pull up a chair and I sit here and I watch this tank forever. Yeah, and it's doing good. And so there's also other things in the tank that, if you watch my previous video, things were not going good for the longest, but so far they are going really good. The algae is just cleared up and just keeps on clearing up. A lot of the corals are coming back, and since I put this light on, this coral here was, even though it's growing like crazy, it was starting to fade out a lot, significantly. I noticed it. Where it was just, you know, with the lights off, it was almost white and I could see it, but it's starting to color back up fairly rapidly lately. This coral right in the center now also has been branching off a good bit when it was not growing at all for the longest months. But now you can see there's probably on the very tip, there's about 5 separate branches starting to split off, and then the base is starting to grow even more. This coral, which is the most impressive right now, is getting a lot of that the fluorescence back on it. And if you can see, those small little tips are also branching off and splitting, which this coral did not grow absolutely any for the first few months I had the tank, up until about a week or two ago. Well, it seems actually about the week now. I think it's probably been about a week and a half since I put this light on it. It was pretty much right after that last video. But I'm really pleased with that, because I really like this coral and I wanted it to look like it was when I bought it, and it's starting to come back. And this acan here is growing heads all over around its base. It did not have that when I got it, and it's just going really well. This torch, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a lot of gold that is starting to come out. So things are coloring up fairly well lately, and I started using Red Sea Reef Energy. So basically, you know, I said I wasn't going to change a lot of things, but I started digging deep down and researching and figuring out what was going wrong here, and I, you know, concluded different things and started to figure out ways to fix that, which in the next video I'll explain. Some of it has to do with the salt that I was using that I figured out was not good. It's not really bad salt, but for my system it wasn't working, and I'll explain that in another video. And the combination of using the NOPOX and different parameters that I should be at with the reading that I was doing, I'll explain in the next update. But so far, you can see here the GSB is coming back. That thing was closed up for a week, I don't know. The mushroom, that thing was just shriveled up, not looking healthy at all. I wasn't sure if it was, I don't know, it didn't look too good. But now everything's coming out, all these little mushrooms. This rock flower anemone is just basically based itself into that rock. I don't think he's coming out anymore, the rock flower. He just likes where he is. And then these zoanthus, they're not doing the best, but just a tip of advice, or a good tip on this reef tank hobby is, you know, I'm not gonna let one or two types of corals, when everything else is doing pretty much awesome right now. Don't let a type of coral dictate how you feel about the tank, which I could, you know, I kind of do sometimes with zoanthus. I really want good zoanthus growth, but I never really had much of that. So I'm just gonna let that be and let those just get better on their own, if they do or if they don't, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so everything's looking pretty good here. Sorry for the camera, I'm trying to adjust it for the best natural light here. But yeah, so far everything's going good, and the equipment, all the setup, the lights. Yep, did not like that Ocean Revive. If you have a nano tank, I'd probably stay away from it. They probably work better on a nice larger tank. I had them turned down a lot, and they just, I mean, as soon as I had those lights on this tank, it seems like it went downhill too, and that with the combination of other things. You know, they're not bad lights, but they just, they don't have the good controllability of these other higher end lights. And it seems these coral and the fish are really like the sunset system that the light has, where it ramps down and up. Ramps up for the sunrise, ramps down for the sunset. I noticed that the coral, you know, they immediately know when it's starting to ramp down. Halfway through that, they just go to bed, basically. But yeah, that's it. Stay tuned. Maybe tomorrow I will talk about reef energy and the things that I changed around to start hopefully making this tank grow to my expectations. All right, thanks for watching.